Hello friends, in this lecture we will discuss some more on or some more part of residue, more part of a residue of a function at a singularity. In the last lecture we have seen the concept of residue of f of z at z equal to z0 is given by a minus 1, that is minus 1th coefficient in Laurent series expansion, which is equal to 1 upon 2 pi I integral over c f of z with respect to z. From this definition we obtained some residues of some functions at some singularities, and we have seen some results also, that if a function has a removable singularity at z0, then residue equal to 0. If a function is even in z minus z0, powers of z minus z0, then also residue is 0. Not only that, there are some functions having singularity of the type pole, but the residue is 0, and having essential singularity, but the residue is 0 there. Okay, these things we have seen. Now we will see how exactly we can find the singularity if the singularity is a pole. So if f has a pole of order n at z0, then residue of f of z at z0 is limit as z tends to z0 1 upon n minus 1 factorial n minus 1th derivative with respect to z of z minus z0 to the power n into f of z. This formula is very useful for finding the residue of a given function if that function has a singularity which is a pole of order n. No doubt, pole means it is a singularity. Pole means it is a singularity. So if any function has a pole of order n at some point z0, that z0 is an isolated singularity which is a pole of order n, then the residue of such function at that singularity, at that pole, is found out, is calculated by using this formula. Limit as z tends to z0 1 upon n minus 1 factorial order n. So we are multiplying by 1 upon n minus factorial and n minus 1th derivative, not nth derivative, but n minus 1th derivative of what? The function multiplied by z minus z0 to the power n. The coefficient of z minus z to the power minus k in the Laurent series expansion is a minus k, and that a minus k is found by using this formula. That by putting k equal to 1, this becomes a minus 1. So 1 upon n minus k factorial, limit as n tends to 0, z tends to 0, n minus kth derivative of z minus z0 to the power n f of z. If I put k equal to 1, you will get this formula, which is a minus 1, that is residue of f of z z0 at z0. So coefficient of z minus z0 to the power minus k in the Laurent series expansion can be obtained by using this formula there. Okay, we will prove one by one. Suppose f has a pole of order n at z0, then we know that f of z can be written as a minus n upon z minus z0 to the power n. That is, the principal part in the Laurent series expansion will be finite, and the highest power of 1 upon z minus z0 to the power n should be there because of pole of order n. So fz can be written as a minus n upon z minus z0 to the power n plus up to plus a minus 1 upon z minus z0, that is, all these are the negative powers of z, plus now these are non-negative powers of z, that is k from 0 to infinity a k z minus z0 to the power k in this annulus having center at z0, radius less than d and greater than 0, for some delta greater than 0 where a minus n not equal to 0. Because if this is equal to 0, there will be no term of 1 upon z minus z0 to the power n, and there will be no meaning for f has a pole of order n. That will not be there. That's why a minus n should not be 0. Further, limit as z tends to z0 of z minus z0 to the power n f of z exists and is non-zero. Why we can say like this? What is the limit as z tends to z0 of z minus z0 to the power n? Here, if I multiply it by z minus z0 to the power n, first term becomes a minus n, second term becomes z something a minus n minus 1 into z minus z0 to the power n minus 1 up to a minus 1 z minus z0 to the power, here it is n minus 1, it is power 1 2 up to n minus 1, and these are the positive powers. This will get z minus z0 to the power n plus k there, and as z tends to z0, this every term becomes vanished, and only we get a minus 1 which is non-zero, a minus n which is non-zero. So it exists and non-zero, right? So limit as z tends to z0, z minus z0 to the power n, f of z exists and is non-zero. Therefore, z0 is a pole of order n of f of z. Note that for z not equal to z0, z minus z0 to the power n f of z is like this: a minus n, that is a minus of n minus 1. Therefore, a minus n plus 1 and up to so on. This will be there. Now we will differentiate this multiplying by z minus z0 to the power n f of z. We will multiplied f of z by z minus z0 to the power n. We will get this term. Differentiate n minus 1 times with respect to z on both sides. We obtain. So n minus 1th derivative with respect to z of this left hand side is this one, equal to. Now this is constant term, so its a first derivative is 0. No doubt n minus 1. So its a first derivative is 0. So this derivative is 0. Then after that its a second derivative becomes 0. So only we get this term there. That is a minus 1, n minus 1 factorial. Because it's a n minus 1th derivative is n minus 1 factorial. And all the next derivatives are 0. And all the next derivatives are 0. Why? We know that z to the power 10. Then its a first derivative is 10 z to the power 9. Second derivative is 10 into 9 z to the power 8. Third derivative is 10 into 9 into 8 z to the power 7. Up to so on, where we can find it. It's a 10th derivative is 10 factorial and 11th derivative is 0. So we get the derivative of z minus z to the power n minus 1. N minus 1th derivative of this term is n minus 1 factorial into a minus 1 as it is. All these derivatives becomes 0. Okay. And plus derivative of this term is. So we can write first derivative as k plus n z minus z0 to the power k plus n minus 1. Second derivative as k plus n minus 1 z minus z0 to the power k plus n minus 2 and so on up to n minus 1th derivative is what? This is ak as it is, k plus n minus 1 up to k plus 1 z minus z0 to the power k will be there. Okay, it is like that. Therefore, now as taking limit z tends to z0 of left hand side and right hand side, these are all zeros, no doubt. There is no z0 here, so it will be remains a minus 1 n minus 1 factorial. And now here in this, in each term there is a power of z minus z0. So by putting z minus z0, this may be power k plus 1. By putting z minus z0, isn't it, z equal to z0, this every term becomes vanished. So this also equal to 0. And therefore what we get, limit as z tends to z0, n minus 1th derivative with respect to z of z minus z0 to the power n f of z becomes a minus 1 into n minus 1 factorial. So a minus 1 becomes 1 upon n minus 1 factorial. Limit as z tends to z0, n minus 1th derivative of z minus z0 to the power n f of z, which is nothing but residue. A minus 1 means what? It is the residue. So residue of f of z at z0 is this limit. That is limit as z tends to z0, 1 upon n minus 1 factorial, n minus 1th derivative with respect to z of z minus z0 to the power n f of z. And first part is proved. This is the first part. Right. We want to prove the second part also. Minus kth coefficient we want to find. Similarly, taking now n minus kth derivative of 1. Only you want to take n minus kth derivative of this term. N minus 1th not. We want to take n minus kth derivative. So we get dn minus 1 with respect to z of z minus z0 to the power n f of z. What will happen here? We have to take not n minus 1th derivative, we have to take n minus kth derivative. So what will here there will, now no doubt these having the positive terms of z minus z0 will be there, And if I take z tends to z0, this term will be vanished. Only we get some kth coefficient here. So what is a minus k here? A minus k is a minus k z minus z0 to the power n minus k. To the power n minus k. It's a derivative n minus k we have taken. So that becomes a minus k into n minus k factorial, obviously. This remaining terms containing some powers of z minus z0. And so as limit as z tends to z0, this will term vanish because in every there is a z minus z0 term. So it will be 0 and therefore you will get a minus k n minus k factorial. A minus k n minus k factorial will be there. So its derivative becomes 0. So there will be term having z minus z0 to the power k plus 1, not k. So ak equal to limit as z tends to a minus k equal to limit as z tends to z0 1 upon n minus k factorial, n minus kth derivative of, this is n minus kth derivative of z minus z0 to the power n into f of z. We'll see one example on this, one or two examples on this. What says this result? You can find the residue of a function at a pole of order n. How you can find? First of all, multiply that function by z minus z0 to the power n, then take its n minus 1th derivative, multiply it by m1 upon n minus factorial, 1 factorial, and then take z tends to z0, limit as z tends to z0. For example, let f of z equal to z into z minus 2 upon z plus 4 to the power 2 into z minus 1 to the power 2. Now it has a singularities at z equal to minus 4 also, at z equal to plus 1 also. Z equal to minus 4 also, z equal to plus 1. Now we will go for z equal to 1. What about z equal to 1? Z minus 1 square is there. So f of z has a pole. Why it is a pole of order 2 at z equal to 1? Because if I take limit as z tends to 1, z minus 1 square into this function again, z into z minus 2 upon z plus 4 whole square into z minus 1 whole square. This will be cancelled. We get only limit as z tends to 1 of z into z minus 2 divided by z plus 4 whole square. So what is its limit? 1 into minus 1, that is minus 1 upon 1 plus 4, 5 square 25, which is existent non-zero. Therefore, this function f of z has a pole of order 2 at z equal to 1. Therefore, residue of f of z at 1 is, now limit as z tends to 1, 1 upon n minus 1 factorial, n is 2 here. So 1 upon 1 factorial, n minus 1th derivative, pole of order 2, therefore first derivative of z into z minus 2 upon z plus 4 square into z minus 1 square into z minus 1 square, because we have to take that also, z minus 1 square. Now this z minus 1 square cancels with this one. You have to take only derivative of 1 upon 1 factorial means 1, limit as z tends to 1, d by dz of z square minus 2z upon z plus 4 square, z square minus 2z upon z plus 4 square, which is equal to limit as z tends to 1. Now we have to take derivative of this term, u by v formula, phi into derivative of numerator minus u into derivative of denominator, z square minus 2z into derivative of denominator is 2 times of z plus 4 upon z plus 4 square, its square, that is to the power 4. Take z tends to 1, so here we'll get 5 square into z tends to 1, 2 minus 2 0, minus z tends to 1, 1 minus 2, here 1 minus 2, into 2 into 5 divided by 5 to the power 4 is equal to, now this will be 0, minus 1 into minus plus 2 into 5 10, 10 upon 5 to the power 4, that is 2 5 upon 5 to the power 4, 1 5 cancels with 1 5, 2 upon 5 cube, that is 2 upon 125. So residue of f of z at z equal to 1 is 2 upon 125. Similarly, z equal to minus 4 is also double pole of z equal to minus 4 is also double pole of f of z. Therefore, residue of f of z at z equal to minus 4 is limit as z tends to now minus 4. Since it is a pole of order 2, so 2 minus 1th derivative, that is first derivative of z plus 4 whole square into z minus 2 upon z plus 4 whole square into z minus 1 square. So these two will be cancelled. Only we have to take limit as z tends to minus 4, because 1 upon 1 factorial is there, n minus 1 is 1 there. z limit as z tends to minus 4 d by dz of z square minus 2z upon z minus 1 whole square. Again we use u by v formula. Denominator into derivative of numerator minus numerator into derivative of denominator. So we get by taking z is equal to 1 now, minus 4 now, minus 4 minus 1, minus 5 square plus 25. 4, 2 into minus 4, minus 8 minus 2, that is minus 10, minus 24 into, why 24? Z square, z is minus 4. 16 minus 8, that is 24. 2 into z minus 1, z is minus 4, 2 into minus 5, minus 10. So we get minus 250 plus 240 divided by 5 to the power, minus 5 to the power 4 means 5 to the power 4. So we get minus 10 upon 5 to the power 4, that is minus 2 upon 125, minus 2 upon 125. So by using that above formula, you can find its residue. Now residue of z cube plus 7 into z minus 2 to the power minus 3 at 2. Now here the function is f of z is your z cube plus 7 upon z minus 2 to the power 3. So this function has a singularity at z equal to 2 and the singularity is a pole of order 3, because if I multiply by z minus 2 to the power 3 with this and taking z tends to 2, you will get 2 cube plus 7, that is 8 plus 7, that is 15 as finite limit. Therefore this function has a pole of order 3 at z equal to 2, and therefore if pole of order 3 is means what? So residue is equal to limit as z tends to z0, that is limit as z tends to 2, 1 upon 2 factorial, 3 minus 1 is 2 factorial, second derivative of this function multiplied by z minus 2 to the power 3. So we get second derivative of z cube plus 7 at z equal to 2, because limit as z tends to 2, which is equal to 1 by 2. Now second derivative means we take first derivative, z cube plus 7, it's a first derivative 3z square at z equal to 2. 1 by 2, first derivative is 6z at z equal to 2. At z equal to 2, it becomes 6 into 2 upon 2, that is 6. So residue of z cube plus 7 into z minus 2 to the power minus 3 at z equal to 2 is 6 here. We have this one more example also. Consider the function f of z equal to e to the power 2z upon cos h pi z. Cos h pi z. We know that cos hz is cos iz. There is a relation between hyperbolic and this function, because cos hz is e to the power what? Z plus e to the power minus z divided by 2. And cos, this is cos hz. And cos z is e to the power iz minus e to the power minus iz divided by 2. This is cos z. So cos iz becomes, z is replaced by I square, e to the power I square z, e to the power minus I square z divided by 2i. So it becomes again minus of, this becomes e to the power I square is minus 1, iz means z minus e to the power minus iz divided by 2. So cos iz is nothing but cos hz. So cos z equal to 0 if and only if z is the odd multiple of pi by 2. Z is the odd, means cos pi by 2 is 0, cos 3 pi by 2 is 0, cos 5 pi by 2 is 0, and so on. Z equal to 2k plus 1 pi by 2. So cos h pi z is 0 if and only if cos I pi z is 0. This is if and only if I pi z is odd multiple of pi by 2. This is if and only if iz is equal to, because pi cancel, 2k plus 1 by 2. That is z equal to 2k plus 1 divided by 2i. That can be written as multiplying and dividing by z equal to minus of 2k plus 1 I by 2. 2k plus 1 I by 2. Thus f has a simple pole at z equal to minus 2k plus 1 I by 2. From this we see that if C is your circle having center at I by 2 and radius 1 by 2, integral over C f of z dz becomes residue of e to the power 2 pi I into residue of e to the power 2z upon cos h pi z upon I by 2, which is 2 pi I e to the power this one, replacing, means you are taking this one by taking z as iz, z as I by 2. So you have taken z as I by 2. Simplification, you will get 2 into e to the power I. Inside the contour gamma, having center at origin and center at I by 2 and radius 1, f has a singularity only at z equal to I by 2. Therefore, C is any circle. If C is any circle around I by 2 lying completely inside gamma, then integral over this is 2 times of e to the power I. So 2 times of e to the power I. Okay, that we can obtain here, right? This one. So as it is a simple pole, what will be the residue? So if it simple pole means what? 1 upon 0 factorial. 0th derivative means no derivative at z equal to I by 2. Therefore, no derivative at z equal to I by 2. Now, if we define f of z as 1 plus z square to the power n plus k upon z raised to 2n plus 1, then f has a pole of order 2n plus 1 at z equal to 0. Z equal to 0, it has a pole of order 2n plus 1. And residue of f of z at 0 becomes coefficient of z raised to minus 1 in this f z. That is coefficient of z raised to minus 1 in 1 plus z square to the power n plus k upon z raised to 2n plus 1. That is coefficient of z raised to 2n in. So here it is z raised to 2n into z. So we get, if I take z raised to 2n here, minus 1 is this, z raised to 2n plus 1. If we take z raised to 2n plus 1 here, you get, it is a coefficient of z raised to 2n in only this numerator by taking this term outside. So coefficient of z raised to n in 1 plus z to the power n plus k, because z square is replaced by z. So z square is replaced by z. So it becomes coefficient of z raised to n in 1 plus z to the power n plus k. And we know that the coefficient of z raised to n in 1 plus z to the power n plus k is what? N plus k c n. N plus k c n. So what we are getting? The residue of f of z at z equal to 0, where f of z is this one, 1 plus z square to the power n plus k upon z raised to 2n plus 1 is n plus k c n. On the other hand, residue of z into f of z at z equal to 0 is equal to residue of 1 plus z square to the power n plus k upon z raised to 2n. Now here z raised to 2n plus 1 was there. Multiplying both sides by z, we get 1 upon z raised to 2n only, this term. Okay. That's why residue of z f of z at 0 is residue of 1 plus z square to the power n plus k upon z raised to 2n at z equal to 0. Since if f has an isolated singularity at z0 and if f is even in z minus z0, then residue of this function is 0. Therefore, we have residue of 1 plus z square to the power n plus k upon z raised to 2n is 0. At 0 is 0. Why? Because z f of z becomes what? Multiplying by z. So this term becomes z f of z becomes 1 plus z square to the power n plus k upon z raised to 2n. Now if I replace in this z by z minus z, you will get same result. So if I replace z by minus z, it will be same 1 plus z square to the power n plus k upon again z raised to 2n. So even, and even function means residue at z equal to 0 is 0 there. So residue of 1 plus z square to the power n plus k upon z raised to 2n is 0 at z equal to 0. Similarly, we have one more result here. If f has a simple pole at z equal to 0, z0, and h is analytic at z0 with h of z0 not equal to 0, then residue of f of z into h of z at z0 equal to h of z0 into residue of f of z into z0. What says this result? See, if a function has a simple pole at z equal to z0 and h is analytic at z0, means there is no singularity for h at z0, with h at z0 non-zero. These three conditions are: function f having simple pole at z equal to z0, h, second function, analytic at z0 with h at z0 is not zero, then the residue of f of z into h of z at z0 is h of z0 as it is, only residue of f of z at z0. Observe that limit as z tends to z0 of z minus z0 f of z h of z. What is it? If f has a simple pole at z equal to z0, then residue of and h of z is analytic, means f of z into h of z has a simple pole at z equal to z0. Therefore, limit as z tends to z0 of z minus z0 into f of z f of h of z. This is nothing but residue of f of z into h of z at z equal to z0. This is equal to, now we know that as h is analytic at z0, so limit as z tends to z0 of h is holds. Therefore, limit as z tends to z0 of h of z is h of z0, that can be taken outside. Only we get limit as z tends to z0 of z minus z0 into f of z. And what is it? Since z0 is a simple pole of f of z, therefore limit as z tends to z0 of z minus z0 into f of z is nothing but residue of f of z at z0. And this is the residue of f of z, h of z at z0. So both are same. Both are same. Thus residue of f of z, h of z at z0 is equal to h of z0 into residue of f of z at z0. We know that if f has a simple pole at z0, we know that f has a simple pole at z0 if and only if 1 by fz has a simple pole at simple 0 at z0, has a simple 0 at z0. Okay, reverse must have simple 0. So if f has a simple pole at z0, then its reverse must have simple 0. We know that 1 by z has a simple pole at z equal to 0. Therefore, 1 upon this term means z has a simple 0 at z equal to 0. That is the case. So, g has a simple 0. That means what? G at z0 is 0 and g dash at z0 not equal to 0. Therefore, residue of f of z at z0 is nothing but limit as z tends to z0 of z minus z0 of f of z, that is z minus z0 upon g of z, because f of z is 1 upon g of z. Now, as z tends to z0, which is equal to, we can write it as 1 upon gz minus gz0, because gz0 is 0, you can take this here, 1 upon gz minus z0 divided by z minus z0. But this is as limit as z tends to z0, limit as z tends to z0. This is also limit as z tends to z0. So this is the definition of g dash at z0. Because it is not equal to 0, it is g dash at 0. So 1 upon g dash at z0. So what we have found here, if we know that f has a simple pole at z0, if and only if this. So if f has a simple pole at z0, then residue of f of z at z0 is 1 upon g dash at z0, where gz is 1 upon f of z. So g dash at z0 means find its derivative and put z equal to z0. Suppose phi is analytic at z0 with phi at z0 is not equal to 0 and g has a simple 0 at z0, then residue of phi of z upon g of z at z0 equal to phi at z0 divided by g dash at z0. In particular, residue of, if I take phi z is 1, 1 upon gz at z0 is equal to 1 upon g dash at z0. So proof follows from above. From this remark, we proved what is residue of f of z. Residue of f of z is what? 1 upon gz. Residue of 1 upon gz at z0 is equal to 1 upon g dash z0. That we have obtained. And so by taking phi z equal to 1 here, so residue of phi z upon g of z, but g is here. G has a simple pole at z0. That means 1 of gz has a 0 at z0. Phi is analytic. Phi is analytic. So 1 by gz has a 0. So if gz has a simple pole and phi is analytic everywhere, then by this formula, as h is analytic, h of z0 as it is only residue of this second function. So only residue of 1 upon gz. And what is the only residue of 1 upon gz? It is 1 upon g dash at 0. 1 upon g dash at 0. For example, if f of z is phi z upon a raised to n plus z raised to n, where phi is analytic at z0, such that phi at z0 not equal to 0 for each z0 belongs to C, satisfying z0 raised to n plus a raised to n equal to 0. Phi we are considering phi is analytic at z0, where phi at z0 not equal to 0, but z0 raised to n plus a raised to n equal to 0. Then using the above theorem, we get residue of f of z at z0 is equal to residue of phi of z upon a raised to n plus z raised to n, because this has a pole at which point spheres z raised to n plus a raised to n equal to 0, means at z0. So it has a simple pole at z0 and phi z is analytic. Therefore, its residue is phi at z0 divided by the derivative of g dash at z0. So derivative of a raised to n plus z raised to n at z equal to z0. So phi at z0 upon, what is the derivative of this function? N into z raised to n minus 1 at z equal to z0. So phi of z0 upon n into z0 raised to n minus 1. So z0 into phi of z0 upon n into z0 raised to n. This is just simplification. So we get minus z0 phi of z0 upon n into a to the power n. Why that minus? Because z0 is a such function satisfying this. That is z0 raised to n is minus a raised to n. So z0 raised to n is minus a raised to n. That way. In particular, if phi z equal to 1, then the residue of z raised to n plus a raised to n to the power minus 1 at zk equal to minus zk divided by n into a to the power n, where zk is the simple pole of 1 upon z raised to n a to the power n. If phi z equal to z raised to n minus 1, then residue of z raised to n minus 1 upon z raised to n plus a raised to 1 n, or at zk equal to zk into zk to the power n minus 1, because phi at z0, zk to the power n minus 1 divided by n into zk to the power n, by using this one, which is equal to, now zk to the power n and this will be cancelled. So zk into zk to the power n minus 1 means this totally zk to the power n cancels with zk to the power n. We get 1 upon n, where a not equal to 0. These are some examples on above result. Which are these? Since sin z has a simple 0 at z equal to k pi, so 1 by sin z must have singularity, that is a pole of order 1 at simple pole at z equal to k pi. So 1 by sin z into cos z. We know that cos z is analytic everywhere. So numerator analytic, and this 1 upon sin z has a pole of order 1. Therefore, its residue becomes cos of pi k, that is cos at z0 divided by derivative of this sin z at z equal to k pi, which is cos k pi upon again cos k pi, which is equal to 1. Similarly, residue of cosec z at k pi, that is 1 upon sin z at k pi. So only we get the derivative of sin z at k pi, that is 1 upon cos k pi. But we know that cos k pi is also always plus or minus 1. So you will get minus 1 to the power k, for k belongs to z. Similarly, residue of e to the power z upon sin z. Sin z has a pole, simple pole at k pi, e to the power z analytic everywhere. So e to the power k pi, and in the denominator derivative of sin z at z equal to k pi. So e to the power k pi upon cos k pi. So some other examples are here, which can be easily solved by you. So these are the other examples. These are all dependent on this one, this formula. So these examples are for your homework. Okay, you go through all these examples. So we'll take. So what we have seen in this lecture this one result. If phi is analytic at z0 with phi 0 not equal to 0, phi at z0 not equal to 0, and g has a simple 0 at z0, denominator has a simple 0 at z0, then we have this one. Okay, that is the case. Similarly, second formula, if f has a simple pole at z equal to z0, this function means 1 upon sin z is there, and h is analytic at z0, then we have this formula. So by using these two formulae, we can find the residue of given function at given singularity, residue of given function at given singularity. So this is about residue of a function at given singularity. So some more concepts regarding residue we will take in next lecture.